This show contains mature content. The views and opinions presented belong solely to the people expressing them, and they do not in any way represent Goonies Comedy Club, the Crooked Pint Ale House, or any of their staff or management. Besides, every person on this show is a comedian, and they might just be joking. If you could be trapped on a deserted island with any one person, why would it be me?
Well, roll lunch, we're having lunch on the road, yeah.
Welcome to Road Lunch, where we sit down to have lunch with working comics out on the road. We're here at Goonies Comedy Club in Rochester, Minnesota, located at the... All right, never mind. We got to start over. I get it wrong
Yeah, I
every
don't like
time.
the way I started.
Okay, yeah. All right, this time, good energy.
Terrible.
Okay, here we go.
You want my pickle? Do you like pickles?
Sure, throw it on me.
Welcome to Road Lunch, where we sit down to have lunch with working comics out on the road. We're here at Goonies Comedy Club, located at the Crooked Pint Ale House in Rochester, Minnesota. My name's Andy Fisher, and joining me are comedians Matt Bergman and John Egan. Thanks for being here, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Thanks for buying us lunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't even want to eat that. I don't know how John's going to pull that off, but we'll
yeah,
find
right.
out.
Just layer by layer.
Fork and knife, maybe? That
No,
would be
I'm
my
going to go
approach, right?
straight bun to bun. Just piece by piece.
Yeah,
That's
right.
all I'm going to do.
Eventually it'll gather on your
going
palate.
to-
Yeah.
Right
all
on.
the flavors will combine.
Do not
Cool.
ask him questions. It's going to be a nightmare.
I'm going to wait till you have your mouth full. Then I'm coming after
Absolutely.
you. Yeah, right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, as I explained before we got going here, we just want to talk about comedy, get to know a little bit about you as comedians. You know, we'll ask you some things about yourselves as people, too. That's relevant, right? But none of this matters, so feel free to answer questions however you want. No big stakes.
Like life,
but,
none
right?
of this
Like, there you
matters.
go. Yeah, right?
Eat a tater tot.
Ultimately,
Where am I
we're going to
looking? Right
die.
there?
So,
Eat a crouton.
I hope this isn't too hot, by the way.
I hope it's scalding.
Oh,
just right? Just too hot?
No,
no,
good.
perfect.
Cool.
Really good.
Okay. Well, to start off with, first thing I want to ask you is, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I'm from Buffalo, New York, originally.
Okay. Grew up, spent
grew
your
up in
full childhood
Buffalo.
there, formative years?
Most of my life, and then went to New York City for a year in 2007 to 2008, and then ended up in Springfield, Massachusetts for 2 years with my wife, and now we're in D.C., Washington, D.C.
Cool. How about you, John?
I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, and then I went up to Green Bay for college, and I stayed there, so I'm still there.
Cool. Okay. Talking about your comedy careers, how long have you been doing comedy? How many years?
You just asked me this the other day. I've been doing it for like 14 years, I think.
And I'm almost at 8. I honestly thought it was almost 9, and
Yeah.
I redid it, and it's 8. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, at 10 years, I'll do an album, because that's a fun time to do it. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm at 8. Like, I think I exaggerated at some point to some booker, and I probably kept with that for
And
a long time.
I'm probably at 22, but I'm just lying. Yeah.
And that's okay. No, that's all right.
I'm a young
That's-
up-and-comer when you say 14 years, but
That's
22,
true. That's true.
get out of this business. Come on, guys.
Where'd you get your start doing comedy? Did you have, was it in Buffalo, or did you?
I started in Buffalo, yeah. There's a club there called the Comics Cafe, and the owner was going to grad school at my college, so he would have lunch in our cafeteria, and I would always talk to him, and he would always invite me to like just open mic nights, and then he was like, if you want to do a guest spot, we can work that out. So I would do guest spots on like the late show on Friday and just eat. Oh, I would just bomb. Week after week, and he was I give him a lot of credit. He was consistent, and he let me up there and let me work through whatever I had to work through. And so yeah, Comics Cafe was a huge...
That was your home club?
It's my home club, and thank God for them, because I think I would have quit if any other club would have not had me back after that first show that I did. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
John, do you have a place you started out?
I actually started in Green Bay when I was in college. So there was a thing in Wisconsin called We Suck. It stood up for Wisconsin Stand-Up Comedians, so WISUC. WISUC. So it was We Suck. But then, so I did that for like 2 years. I sucked. I was terrible. So I stopped. And then I mostly did improv, and then about 8 years ago, the Appleton has a comedy club called Skyline Comedy Club. It was the Skyline Cafe at that point, but a rival club opened like 15 minutes away, and in a small market that doesn't work. So the owner wanted new MCs, so he just reached out to me and went, "This doesn't happen, by the way. This will never happen to you." But he like reached out to me on Facebook and go, perform stand up at my club. Like he just like, I want you to start doing guest sets at my club. And I'm like, oh, okay. and I just started doing guest sets and then MC work, and then I was obsessed. So yeah. By the way, it doesn't happen to anyone else like that. You have to like.
That's never heard of. Never heard that story.
No,
That's
it's
never.
unheard. No one will. An owner of a comedy club going, "I want you on my stage."
No.
Yeah, no, it doesn't happen.
What did you guys do before you got into doing comedy? Did you have a day job still? I know that's a really common thing. A lot of people still work day jobs, you know, and but come from other careers, start comedy late in life, whatever. Anything that you had as your background?
I was a criminal justice major, so when I first got out of college, I was starting to do comedy in college, and then I just worked at a place called Compass House for like homeless and runaway youth in college, and then I did some substitute teaching because that's a very simple thing. They call you up and they're like, "Hey, can you come in this week?" And you're just like, "Nope," and they just keep calling you, which is unheard of in most jobs. So a lot of comics end up doing substitute teaching, and then. What else? I lived in New York and I worked at Carnegie Hall.
Oh wow, what'd you do there?
I did sales, cold calling, just people who did not want to be called. And I was just telling the story before we got here. I kept that job for almost a year because the guy who eventually became the manager invited me to be in his fantasy football league, and I paid him I think it was like $10 to be in, but I did no sales for almost 2 months, and he just let me continue to work 20 hours a week because I think he's afraid if he fired me, he would not get the $10 for his fantasy football league. So that's all you gotta do. If you get a job that you're not good at, just join a fantasy football league from one of the higher ups, and you'll
Social
be fine.
obligations, cool.
At least a year. Yeah.
Talking about your heroes in comedy, is there any famous, nationally known, everybody knows him comedian that you look up to that was somebody that made you want to be a comedian?
You got one?
Yeah, I do. Well, it's because when I was in 4th grade, I listened to Dennis Leary's No Cure for Cancer, and I remember me and my best friend just on the floor laughing. It does not hold up. I still love Dennis Leary. I love Rescue Me. I love all that stuff. Like I'm a huge supporter of Dennis Leary, but that album is not good. But when I was in 4th grade, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard. It inspires my comedy too because I like more of like being angry, and he's just angry the entire time, and like Lewis Black, Dennis Leary, that type of just like social commentary, like anger type of thing is what just resonated with me.
Did he smoke that album
yes,
too?
the whole time.
Did you want to smoke because of that?
No, it was an audio CD. I could
yeah.
hear the smoke, but I wanted more red meat because he does like a whole thing on red meat. So I was like, I should probably eat meat.
I was the first comedy show I ever saw. The first 2 comics I ever saw live when I was 16. I saw Carrot Top and I saw Gallagher.
Oh wow!
And both Carrot Top was one of the funniest people I ever saw. I was blown away. I think not only what Carrot Top was doing on stage, but just the audience response was so addicting to me.
Sure.
I was like, he's bringing joy to all these people. Like, what an incredible thing. And then I saw Gallagher too. And not Gallagher 2, because there was a Gallagher 2.
Yeah. Wasn't his brother or something?
Brother
like he sold
did
his act.
Stole his act.
But I saw the original Gallagher at a place called Melody Fair in North Tonawanda when I was 16. And weirdly enough, years later, my first TV debut was on Access Gotham Comedy Live, and my host that night was Gallagher.
Oh, wow.
And it may have saved my set that night because I met him before I went on stage, and Gallagher has a thing for being like pretty mean to new comics. Because they all think he's a hack, you know?
Yeah.
So he asked me, I go, hey, I saw you at Melody Fair when I was 16. And he goes, what'd you learn from me? And that's how we start off. But I actually had something that was genuine.
Yeah.
I go, oh, I saw you at Melody Fair when I was 16 and you met people before the show. I go, that was incredible. Like, I always thought comics just went in their green room before the show and didn't want to talk to people. And I go, I thought that was really cool that you met people and then they just thought there's their friend on stage. And he's like, oh, okay. And he gave me a great introduction that I did not ask for. But he gave me like a really nice introduction. Everyone else on the show that night, he gave a dog shit introduction for. And so it might have actually saved my TV debut years later because Gallagher actually gave me a genuine introduction.
Small world. That's
yeah.
How about any? I mean, as working comedians, you know the social network of comics across the country and all over the place, right? Are there any lesser known comedians that you think are fantastic that you look up to, like working with, whatever?
Great question. Yeah.
Well, I couldn't even tell you. I'm not going to give you a good answer. There's so many. It's just once you get in the network of knowing people, there's so many people out there that no one's heard of that you would recommend that they like? So say if like I was booking a show and someone like, who do I want? And I'd give them a list of a bunch of people. They'd be like, oh, they don't have TV credits. Like, I don't give a shit.
They're hilarious,
Is that
right?
okay?
Yeah,
Is YouTube. But I'll be like, no, these are amazing people. So I don't have one. I have an endless list of comics I think are great.
I'll go off and I'm leaving off a bunch off the list. Tom Simmons, Jamie Lissow, Nick Griffin, who's been on a ton of television, but just for whatever reason, I mean, he's been on Letterman he was on Letterman 12 times probably. Just one of the best, just so good. Just doesn't have that national audience that knows him. I'm trying to think of a couple other ones that are kind of under the radar. Mike Spears, my buddy Mike Spears, Sean Murphy. There's so many really, really funny comics out there that are. Josh Potter out of LA too, who's opening for Tom Segura right now. So, yeah, it's frustrating because there's so many really bad comics out there that are making a ton of money.
Yeah.
And then you see these guys that are like, man, how is he not famous yet?
Right.
You know,
Still
or
scratching
she, you know?
and clawing and.
Yeah.
It's almost as if the world isn't fair.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost as if that's
Who would've
a real,
thought?
right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Kelly Collette out of Cincinnati, Ohio too. Awesome.
Kelly Clarkson, she's hilarious.
Kelly Clarkson, yeah, very funny.
She's hilarious.
She doesn't
In between
know she's a
songs.
comedian, but
great.
she's-
In
stuff.
between songs,
Yeah,
she's
good
crushing
bits.
it.
Good bits.
Yeah.
Get to know you a little bit, just personally, right? As people, what kind of music do you listen to?
I feel like such a hack saying this, but like everything but country. I really just don't like country. But pretty much, I feel like I have an eclectic mix. I like a lot of Canadian music. I grew up in Buffalo, so we got a lot of Canadian music down in Buffalo. So Tragically Hip, Arkells, Sam Roberts Band. I really like a lot.
Cool. Anything in particular? John?
I've always been obsessed with British pop.
Okay.
So like the 1975 is like my favorite band. Oh yeah, just,
They're awesome.
They're great. Like Pale Waves, who's opening up for them, is great. Who's the Churches? I'm really into right now. So like British pop right now is to me just because I feel like it's just like more sophisticated. It's like American pop but more sophisticated. Like it's more rocky. There's better lyrics. It's just like I've always been obsessed with that.
Love It If We Made It is one of the best songs
my God,
right now.
yes.
By 1975.
It's- yeah.
So good. Is Tater Tots and au jus, is that normal?
Probably. If you got something
Sounds
to dip in,
delicious,
you
is
should
what I'll
probably dip it. Yeah. Over ketchup, yeah, for sure.
Not bad.
Au jus.
It's not
yeah,
bad.
Au jus is definitely a better thing to dip in than
I
ketchup.
felt almost like discriminatory saying
Yeah.
that.
Dip it in au jus.
Okay. Another basic question about you as people, right? Okay. If you were on a talent show and you couldn't do stand-up, what would be your talent?
Oh. I guess depression.
Cool. Common answer, surprisingly. That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
disturbing
like a
depression.
calendar of when I take my anxiety pills. It's just like what happened in my
I'm
life.
so
at those-
organized.
I'm so organized. No. Honestly, I don't know. I could probably still play Jurassic Park, like the theme on piano, really terribly.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
had,
bad
like I
talent.
had it on memory my whole life. I wanted to learn piano so bad, and I just never did it. And then,
yeah.
I could probably still do that.
I can play that intro to that Metallica song that goes dun 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 dun.
Or it's just open strings.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Whiskey in the Jarro.
I can play all of Metallica's B-sides. It's an unknown talent of mine.
That or the Mission Impossible thing that
Oh
they
yeah,
did.
yeah. Those are great movies, by the way. No one ever talks about that. Great movies.
I like them.
Yeah.
They've managed
It was like
to stay
1,
good.
2, 3, 4, 5. It just keeps going back.
Yeah,
it's
the
just
latest
like-
one's really good.
Oh my
though.
God!
Yeah.
It's just set piece stunt, set piece stunt.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise runs.
Yeah. So I guess I'd be filling in for Tom Cruise. That'd be my talent.
There you go. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Was it comedian or did you have other aspirations?
I think at 16 forward, once I saw a comic on stage, I wanted to be a comedian.
That did it?
Before that, I thought lawyer, because I watched this David E. Kelly show called The Practice.
Okay.
When I was on ABC, so I was like, I want to be a lawyer. They're just saving people left and right.
Right.
And then somebody told me what a lawyer actually was. I was like, that doesn't sound as fun.
So much work.
Yeah, I
So
know.
much. So much.
Yeah, I think I was like a cop detective. Like I always like solving mysteries or like little puzzles or situations that do that. But I think I always wanted to do this, but I just never pursued it or anything. Or I was never just like, hey, what are good art schools or what like acting schools? Like I just never did that. I'm just like, I'm gonna go to a state college and get a nice job in TV, and then I'll still be on TV. I think I wanted to be like on TV, and then all the TV stations were like, you're too fat. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I can't be fat on TV. Like I don't know, for some reason I didn't know that.
Right on.
Eat the shit out of this. Early up.
I'm gonna eat the shit out of this.
None of this matters. So, you know. Okay, so before we start, we'll do the clap. I clap, you clap, you clap.
Okay.
Cool. I'm a really
So-
slow runner too. So like if it's if we're getting chased by a predatorial
Yeah.
creature, I'm
A mountain
I'm
lion.
done.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I
think you
bet
could
The
defeat-
Rock doesn't run very fast.
No.
So I mean, that's the
definitely
thing.
not.
Yeah, if you're bigger, it doesn't.
That is
yeah.
the best roundabout compliment I think I've ever got. I like it. I like it. I'm an idiot. So now I just want to ask you guys if you can tell us some stories about your experiences doing comedy. To start with, this is one of my favorites. Do you have any horror stories? Like, what's your just worst experience doing comedy, or something terrible?
Yeah, I'll let you take this one first.
Sure. Well, when I did my first like little bout of stand-up, and then I stopped for a while, I opened for a very popular comedy musician. His name is Pat McCurdy. I don't know. People might not know who he is, but he does very funny songs, and he's very popular, especially in Wisconsin. Like he tours the whole thing. So I got to open for him at my college, UWGB, and I just bombed. Like so, because everyone's there for him. Like just so I went up there. Like I'm a year and a half in. I have 15 minutes, I shouldn't have. I had like 5 minutes of material. And I just bombed. Like I just bombed, and I'm just like, even to the point where like even after my set, I was supposed to bring him up, and I was like looked back to bring him up, and like his like sound guy was like, no, we're waiting a second. Like I was just like, and Pat's gonna be here soon, and I like just left off stage into the crowd and left. Like I just like I like just disappeared into the crowd of people. It was just. It was like the worst experience because it wasn't good. It wasn't good material. Like I bombed, and then just that look of like you go back to like introduce the next person, and someone's like,
Yeah.
You
cannot-
walked through the crowd though?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I
I,
just
I
walked
love
off
that
stage.
image of you know what? I'm not even going backstage with the performers.
Yeah.
I'm one of you now. I'm
yeah,
done. Like,
that's all I did. I just was like, good night, and then I just walked off.
Did
Like, it
any
was-
like douchebag try to give you like a sarcastic high five?
I knew like 8 people in the crowd, and they were just kind of
Oh.
like, "Good job." I'm like, "Nope, no, I did not do well." It was that's why like I would say that nothing's gonna top that. That's my worst experience I've ever had. Like besides that, it's just been killing. Non-stop killing.
How about you, Matt? Any horror
Yeah,
stories?
I just went for the Goo Goo Dolls recently. They're from
Okay.
Buffalo, and they came through DC, and they asked me to open up the show for them. And there's no word that there's gonna be a comic on the show.
Oh, beforehand? They didn't tell the crowd?
No, there's no. It was surprise comedy, and I went in thinking it'd be okay because I'm sometimes an idiot. You know, I'm just like I can figure this out, and so they opened the doors at 6:30, and the show started at 8, which is that's a long time for people to wait, and it was no seats. So people were standing. For
For an
let's
hour
say,
and a half,
let's say
hour?
we'll even say 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And so around 7:55, they were at the green room. They go, "Hey, set Matt down." I'm walking downstairs, and the crowd at that point was actually chanting for the Goo Goo Dolls. And the tour manager just looks at me. He's like, "Hey, do you mind? Could you just go out? Do you want to go out now?" And I was like, "Well, all right, that'll be fun." And they did say, "Well, we're going to introduce you from backstage, so we'll give you an introduction. What do you want us to say?" I was like, "I just can't just let them know I'm a comic. I think that's really important right now."
Yeah.
Because if I just walk out there and people are like, "Well, what's
here
that?"
for a music show.
And then I just start telling jokes. Oh God. So, and their introduction for me, they actually said they started off. They go originally from Buffalo, New York, which is where that's where the band's from, right?
Here
So-
come the Goo Goo Dolls.
of course, people were like in the audience, myself included, like, yeah, it can't not be the Goo Goo Dolls. Why would they else? And then they go, now lives in DC, get up for comedian Matt Bergman. And I just walked out on stage, and this woman in the front row just yells at the top of her lungs, she's like, no! Just like echoed through the entire place. I'm like, okay. So It didn't go well. I think I got a couple laughs in the beginning, but then people were like, "Is he just going to stay up there and keep trying to bring us joy?"
Oh, he's doing this.
Yeah, play Iris, you know. My favorite line that got not a laugh, by the way, they had their set list on stage, and they were doing is the Dizzy Up the Girl 20th anniversary.
Oh shit!
And that album was like massive. So they're gonna do it front to back.
Oh, geez.
And I look down at the set list. I go, oh my god, there's so many hits on that stage. I go, Iris not on there. That seems like a mistake. And no one laughed. Like I'm like, that's a funny.
That's a great. I would have laughed in the crowd. I'd be like,
that's a damn good joke. Yeah, I'm like, when that didn't
You
hit.
disappointed the hardcore fans by letting them know that.
Yeah. You know, there's like 80 people in the crowd that went, "What?" Yeah, they like look behind the strangers for anger.
all
Like,
just became they all became 10 Allen.
Yeah. Like, shut up.
So
dude.
that was the most recent bomb, I would say.
Sure.
There's another time I opened up a show, or not an open. Yeah, I did open up a show. It was my mom never came to like my shows like in Buffalo. They lived about 45 minutes from Buffalo, and they lived in like the kind of the backwoods area of New York.
Sure.
And so I was
Upstate,
doing,
really, it's...
yeah. Once you get out of the cities, you're like, whoa, what the hell is this? And it was a fire hall in the middle of nowhere, and she brought her friend to see me for the first time. Now, my dad at that point saw me open it for no light. Dave Attell and then Jeff Ross at a theater that held 1,800 people, sold out.
Wow.
And I had like, you know, I got my own food backstage. My dad was like, this guy, he's killing it at 22.
Yeah.
And my mom saw me at a fire hall in Olcott, New York. And 5 minutes into my set, I was just eating shit. And to the point where this old man in the front row just yelled at me. He goes, I've had Jehovah Witnesses come to my door that are funnier than you. That's what he said, which isn't that funny, but the crowd loved it.
Yeah.
He got an applause break. The first applause break of the night was that old man.
Was the heckler.
And I fucking lost my shit. I'm like, you feel good? You're going to die here in Olcott. I was being an asshole. And I had to wrap 10 minutes early. And I just walked off stage and just walked to I didn't even say hi to my mom. I was like, she'll explain it to her friend. So that'd be the worst bomb, more so than Goo Goo Dolls, because at least no one heckled me and they were all standing. So I got a standing ovation. If you want to break it down,
right. One of them claps. It counts.
It counts exactly. 1 out of 6,000.
Well, we can switch gears a little bit. What's the best moment you had? Have you ever had like a set or a moment in your career that made you just reaffirmed your love for comedy, made you go, this is why I do it? Is there anything like that you can specifically point to?
I just think like any show that you like get off stage, I don't want to say one specific moment, but when you get off stage, you feel like everything was, for the most part, everything was set up the right way. You felt like loose up there, and you go off stage and you felt like you made a connection. So not just like one moment, but I think like those shows over the course of comedy, you're like, okay, I'm doing what I need to be doing.
Sure.
I did Turner Hall in Milwaukee for the Milwaukee Comedy Festival, and I got to open for Michael Ian Black. And that was super fun, just to have like, it was like 400 people, like packed, just like fun to just do a big crowd and like do my material that worked, and it worked out. And the most thing I'll remember though is that I was like the feature. Me, Michael, and the MC all dressed the exact same. Like we all overthought it and thought someone was going to do flannel, so we all did a gray shirt with jeans.
Oh, it was accidental.
No, accidental.
That sounds like something Michael Ian Black would put together.
Like we walked down, so like me and the MC were up there, and then he was upstairs, and he walked downstairs, and he goes, why haven't I been hanging out with you guys for the half hour? Like, we have no idea. And then he goes, so we look down there, and it's just like, because it's a gray shirt, dark pants, Puma shoes, even the same type of shoes. Like we all had Puma shoes. So like it became a whole bit through the show. Like so after the MC went and I went, Michael brought all of us on stage and we stood in a line. So I have a picture of all of us standing there. And we have a picture together where we're all in the same exact outfit, just like standing. So. That was a good moment. It was one of those moments where like, well, if I never do a show again, I'm good. And then like 2 months later, you're like, no, that I was lying. I want to do more shows. Like I want better moments. But like at that time, it was one of the coolest nights for sure. Yeah.
That happened to me one time too. With I used to tour with John Heffron a lot. From Last Comic Standing, and we used to always kind of wear almost the same things on stage. It became a running joke. But one night he was filming for a show called, it was before Access Gotham Comedy Live came on television. They were just doing live look-ins from Gotham Comedy Live.
Yeah.
So he was going on, like they filmed me very quickly bringing him up. But I walked in that night, and at the time I was wearing just like almost like a cardigan sweater. I was like, there's no way. And I show up and John is wearing a cardigan sweater. And he's like, I gotta swing my headliner dick. He's like, you can't.
You're taking that
You
off.
can't. And his manager was there. So I took his manager's like shirt. He was a small as well. And I wore his manager's shirt on stage that night. Because it was like almost perfect. Yeah.
How do you okay, so you can get back to the bad stuff. Sorry to do that, but
No, that's
all
where
we
that's where the
remember.
funny
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
when you have a bad set, when you bomb, how do you handle it? What do you do? Do you have a process you go through? Is it just on to the next one? What's your method?
I have a 24-hour rule. I have 24 hours to call my friends, to say that I'm going to kill myself, to be depressed about life, and then by that next night at whatever, if it's the 8 o'clock show they bombed on, it's time to put it in the past and let it be what it was. And it doesn't make a difference in the long run.
Cool.
And quite honestly, it's the same way a good show goes too.
Yeah.
If you have a really good show, you have 24 hours to call your friends,
You're done
to tell
feeling
them how
good about
happy
it.
you are,
Yeah.
and then by 8 o'clock the next show,
you're done.
need to.
You're done. Yeah. I don't know. It's like I said, I don't bomb, but
I don't like following them. I'm not gonna lie.
But I think it's just random. Like mostly it's on myself. So I'll go like, well, I didn't care enough. I didn't do like the exercises I usually do. I didn't go through my set good enough. I didn't like add. I didn't write down my set well enough. It was like it's my laziness that led to the bomb. Or if the last time I really bombed, I honestly it was like on a showcase where I just had 10 minutes and I wanted to just randomly talk and try to think of new material. And I just went up there and I bombed for the first 6 minutes, like just doing new jokes and bombing. And I just like, you just have to know that like, hey, this is what I'm going through to process this new material. It's gonna suck. Like these people are gonna laugh. They paid $5. Fuck them. Like I made them laugh at the end, but like, and I had some laughs throughout. But you just have to know like, hey, this is gonna suck. This whole process. Like not every joke on stage is the first time you're telling it. It's a process. So it's like you just have to know that this is gonna suck while you're working through this.
Sure.
Especially at open mic too. You need to bomb at open mics. Like it's really harder for like guys and girls who have been doing comedy for a while because you just want to prove to people that maybe who've never seen you before that you're good at this. But that's not the point of an open mic. You need to go in there and 2 out of whatever 6 bits need to eat shit.
Find what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. It's really hard because you want to, like, when it's not going well, you want to go into tried and true. And to be honest, at that point, your tried and true is probably going to bomb as well. So you'll question everything by the time that open mic is over.
Which is good for you, right?
I think so.
No, it's very
Yeah.
healthy. It's very healthy to fail. It is. It's a very healthy
It's completely
human
true.
experience just to fail.
That's a good segue into the next question. What advice would you have for aspiring comedians who are trying, right, the open micers, the up-and-comers, the showcasers, people who are trying to get into the professional ranks and are still struggling with that good set, bad set kind of stuff?
Don't play to the back of the room as much as you think you need to, you know? Also, just treat it as, like, if it's not going well, like, I used to always hate when comics go up there and just, like, make fun of bad comedy when they weren't established yet. Because we all, like, and I'm guilty of myself, where I go on stage, I make fun of some hack comic or whatever. Not even, like, a specific comic, but just hack comedy in general.
Sure.
But the problem is like, you haven't written good comedy yet to make fun of bad comedy. So focus on writing good comedy. And that should be the focus, you know?
Sure. Any advice, John?
I'm just on being a decent human. Like it's so because I mean all comics are shit. Like we're all terrible human beings. Like at our core, which is why we all relate to each other.
Huge
and
issues.
and we have huge issues. But like but that's what binds us. But like just be a good person. Like it's okay to be friendly and like show up and talk and just be a normal person. Like you might not fit in first or like be just welcome. Just say hello. Like I just got a message like the other day from a person I had no idea who was a comic who was like a year and who just sent me an event link to their show. And I went, what is this? And they're like, oh, this is my show. I'm like, okay, am I supposed to care? Like, what do you want me to do with this information? And he's like, oh, well, I thought you might want to come and we'd hang out. I'm like, say fucking hello. How about hello, my name is blank. I'm a comic. Can I talk? Like that's the thing is I think people are like, he's like I'm just a year and I'm like, but no, you're a human being. You know how to talk to like. Well, comics aren't human, but I mean we're like, but you're
80%, right?
You're a person that knows like you don't just send an event link and like just what am I supposed to do with that? Like that's what a spam spot does. Spam.
We're not
I'm
friends
broken.
previously. There's no.
I broke down.
Yeah.
He blew a fuse.
Just be
Spam
smart
bot.
and listen, you know?
Sure.
I think listening is a really important part, and not just comedy, and just in life in general. Like, sit back and just take in whatever is being said. Like,
Sure.
don't. Not too many people give criticism or constructive criticism, but overall, like, take what's being said and imply that the best way you can, and don't be annoyed because that person's taking the time to give you some advice, whether it be good or bad.
Sure.
So.
But yeah, and taking advice too is good too, just because I was at an open mic and this guy did a bit where it was funny, but he like completely did it out of order. Like he talked about like sleeping on the couch, but ending up having sex with it. But for some reason, it was hilarious, like the way he did it. But then he like tagged it with something so unfunny. And like I remember going up to him and be like, "Hey man, that couch bit is so funny if you reverse the order." And he looked at me like, "Here's the thing, I've been doing comedy a long time," and he just looked at me. He goes, "Oh, cool. I've been doing it for 5 years, but I guess I'll just take the criticism and go with it." I was like, "That is not what I want." And I just like slowly backed away. I was just like, "Okay, thank you. This was a great experience for me." Like all I was telling you was that you had a funny joke, but like that's not. I'm not criticizing. I don't know. It's impossible to give criticism too.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
People tend to put up that wall, right, where they don't want to let other people's
course.
opinions in, and
And it's hard because it's your material, but I'm just saying, like, you have a very funny bit. Like, if you change, you might think, and you don't have to do it either. You can just say thank you and tell me to fuck off
Let
the
it
rest of my life.
gestate, and there you go.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's. I'm gonna think about that. That's all you have to say. And like,
Yeah.
Some of the best lines in my act have been given to me by someone else. And I think a lot of comics will say the same thing.
Yeah.
It might just be one line, it might just be a tagline, but it's something that brought it all together, that it was out there and it was so simple, but we're not aware of it because we're so in our own heads. So someone else who's just watching is like, "Oh, you should just say this at the end."
Yeah.
And it changes the dynamic of the joke. So just, take...
I've picked up things like that. I feel like where even something like, even if somebody didn't directly feed me a line or whatever, I say something and they respond to it in a way that I didn't realize. Hey, that's how it's perceived.
Yeah.
Right. And
also, all my material is all Richard Pryor, so it's very easy to just.
Guy did crack cocaine before.
I did,
Cool.
yeah.
We
And I
taped.
set myself
It's
on
pretty
fire.
wild.
It's very
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
last question for this segment. Is there anything along the course of your career? Was there any one thing that you saw that sort of broke things open for you, or something like that? That a lot of people do a podcast. A lot of people start a blog or whatever the case may be. Anything like that you found really gave you traction?
I got lucky enough where I was supposed to open for Mike Birbiglia in Youngstown, Ohio, of all places, and I got bumped last second, but they kept me on the show because he brought John Mulaney with him at the time, who was not John Mulaney, but he was just a guy from New
Still
York.
as good as he was, though.
Yeah. And he was just starting to work on his. It was right after My Secret Public Journal, and it was he was doing the one-man show Sleepwalk with me, and I watched him on stage like tell stories, and that was the first time I ever realized, I'm like, oh, you can have 30, 40 seconds of silence, and there can still be a big pop at the end that brings it all together. So that's the first time I realized, I'm like, oh, you can tell stories up there. You just got to be confident in yourself and confident in the story, and so that was a kind of an eye-opening experience for me. And
I would say nothing I've done is everything's failed. But I did a podcast that failed. But me interviewing people at a comedy club got me to work at that comedy club because I started doing that. I've done like food reviews, like terrible foods online that no one watches, but people still bring me and send me stuff where I'll just they'll still bring it up once in a while. Or nothing's hit me big, but we're good.
yeah, yep, more collapse.
Cool. In this segment, we have joining us local comedian Zach Ashton.
Hello.
Hey. Yeah, right. So we like to do a thing with Zach where we want you to get to know him. He's an up-and-comer. He's real funny. I'm going to tell you, this is a game, okay? I'm going to tell you some things about Zach. And for each one, I want you to tell me. You can ask him questions. You can find the answers.
Sure.
I want you to tell me if this anecdote, this point about him is true or false.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
And whoever has the most points at the end of the game gets to pick the shot that Zach is going to drink.
Oh.
And we encourage it to be disgusting.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure. Yep.
So I'm just going to hold on. We got to keep score here. We got Matt and John. We're starting at nothing.
Okay.
I know the
All
shot,
right.
so I'll just
I
tell you.
have a shot.
No matter who. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you got all right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go through a handful of these and
Sure.
see where we get. First point about Zach. Zach once interviewed via Skype for a job at the Holy Land Experience amusement park in Orlando, Florida, to play, obviously, Jesus.
Okay.
And he had to not tell he didn't tell them because it would have got him not the job, right? That he's an atheist.
Okay. Do we ask questions?
Is it true?
right now?
You can ask him questions about
Yeah.
it and then decide
Yeah.
if it's true or false.
Holy Land, what are the hours? Do you know?
The hours would have been no, they didn't really say.
Okay.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I get daytime because they're
Okay.
not open at night. They
Yeah,
close.
Jesus doesn't. He
Yeah.
sleeps early.
He sleeps early.
Is it a normal thing to like Skype it, or did they make an exception for you? Or?
No, typically they have people interview in person, but I had written them like several emails, and they were like, "Would you do an interview over Skype?" And I was like,
Sure.
"Absolutely," you know.
I was gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say yeah. That's true.
How long has Holy Land been open for?
I would say probably 2001, early 2000s.
That's right after 9/11. People
Yeah, it's an
those towers
amusement
came
park.
down, yeah. We need a Jesus park.
It's the Disneyland of Jesus, you know.
If you're lying to me,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would like it to be true. I think it's true.
Yeah,
Okay.
we both say true.
You're both saying true. Okay, that one is actually false. He didn't have to interview over Skype because his background check lost him the foot in the door immediately.
Is there a Holy
Immediately.
Land though?
Yes.
There is.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
Land
Oh,
Experience.
it's a
in Orlando.
real
Yeah,
place.
that's a thing.
Yeah.
I like-
Okay, so nobody gets a point.
I really
All right.
did. I really did.
I want to say false.
I know he
too.
was way too big in the details. to have no
I
hours.
really did submit to it.
Yeah.
There's some
Trying.
gamesmanship to this.
Yeah.
We're trying to trick you.
All right, there's levels. I get it.
Okay,
levels.
we'll come back to that one. Okay, here's the next one. In high school, Zach was the only goth kid on his JV golf team.
Oh god, that's not even senior. That's JV.
It was
It's not even varsity.
Yeah.
What made you like golf?
I didn't like golf. My dad would make me go every Sunday so he could have an excuse. I'm teaching my son how to play golf. Fuck off, wife. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so
Do you play golf?
I still do. Yeah.
You like? Oh, because your dad taught it. So what was your favorite goth band?
Oh, that's a good question. I was a big Slipknot kid. Slipknot's my jam. 9 Inch Nails. Yeah. They made me wear a polo. I wore a red and black striped one, and then I wore trip shorts with like chains.
How many kids were on the? Do you
only
had to try
7.
out?
Yeah, we had to try out. Had to make the team for
So
JV.
you were good enough to
even.
make
Yeah.
JV. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's true. That makes sense to me.
I had to go false. I think he fucked me up from the last one.
This one is actually false. Yeah! John's going to get a point. Zach made the golf team.
Yes.
Zach dressed as a goth.
Yes.
But it was varsity. It wasn't JV.
It's the real deal.
Yeah.
baby.
John gets a point. Okay.
That's
And that one's
frustrating.
crossed.
Is Slipknot true, or did you think?
No, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
That's kind of fudging the rules on the goth,
I
but
feel like
it's-
goth kids would hate Slipknot too much. Like,
No, no.
Oh, that's what got you?
mainstream Slipknot.
You're thinking the emo kids. The emo
You're
kids.
right- you're right, you're right, you're absolutely
The
right.
Black Parade. Ugh.
My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
That's a good album.
It is a good.
It's a great album.
Oh, still. Yeah, it's the
Right.
culture they breed.
You're right.
You
You're
know
right.
what I
You're
mean?
right. You're right. And then he went blonde. Boo.
Boo.
All right.
Okay, next question.
That's right.
Or next anecdote, next point.
Sure.
Whatever it is, these don't fudge it matter.
It's like who's on.
No, this is a great game.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Zach once had to push a drunken heckler physically off of the stage at a comedy show while he was performing.
True. I'm
Where
just
was
gonna
this
say
at?
true.
This was in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
True.
This one's actually false. Zach had to push a drunken heckler off the stage at a show, but he's in a metal band and he's a singer, and he had to kick this guy off the
physically
stage.
move
It
the
wasn't.
guy out.
Okay. Oh, but we just.
He got up there with tornado arms.
Sorry, lacrosse.
Tornado fists. They're a bunch
We've
of
made a
drunks.
terrible joke.
Yeah, how about you
That's
laugh at jokes?
Yeah.
Laugh at jokes, and we'll be back.
Yeah. Seriously.
Still won
Seriously.
nothing. I really want to win this.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay, next point.
Is this number 4?
This is-
how many? 5? 5 questions.
We're doing
I think we'll do
Seven. Keep
7,
going.
whatever it is.
Seven.
Yep.
Seven.
Yep.
Right. Oh,
We just wanted to make sure it was odd.
We'll go till I don't think there are any more
Yeah,
good ones.
Sure.
Okay, now, next point. In his early 20s, while attending community college, Zach helped pay his bills by acting as an escort for older women.
What
How
year?
old?
Like, how old were they?
How old were they?
Oh, wait, I forgot a point.
Yes.
He acted as an escort for older women,
This is important.
and no sex was involved.
Nothing sexual happened with these ladies.
That's kind of key.
You go first.
It
It was like you go to events, and they were usually typically in their late 60s, early 70s, and I was 21 to 22.
Fun.
I did for about
Sure.
2 years.
I forgot my question.
Yeah.
Did you have the beard?
No, I had none of this. Like, I was clean shaven.
Short hair, no beard. So how did you sign up? It was a site or website or like a thing? Craigslist?
Yeah, it was Craigslist.
So you just said male escort for older
Mail
ladies?
for events, and I said I was charming and charismatic.
And what kind of events would you go to?
We had to go to an art gallery opening at the Civic Center. Ooh, how fancy.
Where was this at? In Rochester?
Rochester Civic Center, downtown, was one of them. I went to an Outback once. That was all right.
You mean the steakhouse?
Free bloomin' onions.
You went to
What?
Australia with a lady.
Yes, to the Outback.
What do you say?
Yeah, true.
I'm gonna say true too.
True?
Yeah.
This one's actually false.
Damn it!
Yeah,
Are they all
sexual
been false?
stuff happened.
Sexual stuff had to happen.
This is the greatest show.
No shame, baby. No shame in my game.
This is
It's
Why isn't
very
this
small.
the whole show?
No
I'm
pregnancy
just letting you know,
risk.
this should be the whole show.
Yeah,
no
It's
pregnancy
Zach
risk, by the
Zach
way.
tells stories and comics.
Pregnancy risk.
There really isn't.
No.
Oh, that's amazing.
Cutting that part out.
Yeah, I know. You probably will.
I'm so
Would you
sorry.
just squirt lube on them? What would you do?
Oh yeah, you had to use
Yeah.
Really?
They're all dry down there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so.
And I'm not
That should
going.
have been a question.
I'm not going with this down there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right, right
Just
now,
a young,
we're-
clean-shaven boy just fucking those ladies.
That's incredible.
He-
Paying them
That
bills.
was the thing.
No, I
wasn't-
did not.
I wasn't supposed to tell
I
that
will
part.
put the
He-
foot
he
down.
was supposed to use his mouth.
I
That's
will
where the
put the
sexual
foot
stuff happened.
down. I
He
did
never
not
actually
use
got
the mouth.
like all the way laid,
The mouth
but he
was
had
not
to.
involved.
Yeah, he
Okay.
had to,
Yeah.
some
Anyway.
cobwebs. That's the.
God.
Seriously.
Okay, we have two more.
Okay.
John is up
Still
by
1-0.
one.
One
You
nothing.
have to sweep
so
these.
You
You have
got
to
to sweep to win.
You gotta sweep
okay.
to win.
Okay. Next point. Zach was nonverbal until the age of 5.
True. I don't care. I'm not even asking a question. I'm just gonna say true.
What was the first word you said?
Mom.
False.
He said false.
This was false. He didn't talk till he was 3. We got a point for Matt.
Here, I just hope everyone knows that all these things are true, but one fucking detail
Wait,
is
what was
wrong.
the,
Every
what was
one
the
of these
detail?
things.
He was nonverbal till he was 3.
Oh, hilarious.
It wasn't 5. It wasn't 5. It was 3.
Oh man, this is intense.
He's got more
I
dignity
flipped
than
you
that.
off.
I've got
Why
more
would I do that?
dignity. I've got more.
Okay. Now this is.
I would have done the same
We're
thing.
rounding
If I
this
would've-
out with the
if I would've
final.
clinched the win, I would have.
This one is for the win, so
This
I
is big.
recommend.
Someone's gonna flip each other off.
It's whoever answers first. I recommend the other person goes the opposite way.
okay.
It's kind of, right? Like you got to kind of you want to have
Builds the
sideways
suspense.
answers.
Play the
on this.
odds, play the
Okay,
odds.
we both
Okay.
talked
Okay.
about our shot that we're gonna give him.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
true.
here we go.
excited.
All right. This one, I like this one. This one's a good one.
Good.
Zach once had an ex-girlfriend break
False.
up with him.
He's gay.
Okay, Zach once had an ex-girlfriend break up with him by faking cancer.
You seem like you date some real psychos. I'm gonna say true. We can say true too, and then we'll both-
no. We have to
Okay.
do the opposite. But
Oh, yeah.
but it'll be for a different reason.
Okay.
It's false because she faked AIDS. That'll be the real answer.
Gotcha.
You've been paying attention to how this game works.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
all right. Are you staying with?
I'll stay with
you staying with
true.
true? Okay.
Okay.
This one is actually completely true.
Yeah.
I was
I
doing
would have
so
faked it to get
well.
away from me
2 to
too.
1. Matt takes
I
the
was doing
victory.
so well.
She fake cancer.
Yes.
What kind of cancer?
Breast cancer.
Breast,
At
of course. The
21.
boob. The old boob.
Yeah, but
At 21. I
Yeah,
don't.
nah, but that's totally.
Is that real? I don't.
Did you stay with her?
No, she broke up with me for because I need to be alone right now.
I need to be with my boobs.
Yes.
Plus,
yes.
it's a good cancer because a lot of people recover from that now.
Yeah.
Nowadays, that's
Yeah.
a pretty recoverable
Yeah.
C word.
Gave her an excuse to shave her head.
Yeah. There you go.
Do new styles, right? She's sick of it.
She's an SJW now. It's cool. I dodged the bullet in the end.
So,
I get to pick the shot.
You get to pick
yeah,
the shots.
Yeah. What would you like to make?
So before
Zach
we went
drink
on
for a
camera,
shot?
Zach told me that he does not like pickles.
I don't like pickles.
And my wife recently told me that she likes to do pickleback shots. Do you guys know what those are?
That's where you got to chase it with pickle juice.
You gotta chase it with the pickle juice.
Okay.
What's the shot that has the pickle back?
What's it supposed to be? Can you guys look that up real fast?
Yeah, he's got a computer here in the
Oh, I don't know. I don't have the.
I have a phone. Hang on.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Just look it up on the phone real quickly.
Bap, bap, bap. Everyone do
something
music.
gross.
Bap,
I
bap,
think it's
bap.
Jameson, and you.
Yep. I'm pretty sure.
Jameson in a pickleback?
Yeah.
Should we go with that?
Look at these picklebacks.
Oh God. Yeah, we'll go with that. That's gross to me. That's really gross.
I'm glad you're not going to like this.
Actually, it's okay. Yeah. I'm not gonna say. I don't want to give.
Jameson. Jameson with
pickleback.
pickle juice.
We're good.
That's
We're good.
exciting. I'm sorry to do this to you, but
No, it's cool. I just kicked my microphone.
if you can
off.
survive
I
it,
love how you said watch the chords.
Pickleback.
I said, oh, I always watch the chords, and then I kicked the fucking microphone. Like a goddamn genius.
Okay, get your mic back on.
Today's
We got to do the clap before we can quit
Motherfucking-
rolling. So. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just clip around there. We just need to see and hear the clap. Hold on.
1, 2, 3.
Cool.
I might have needs to see it.
Okay, so we're here. We have the shot. It's a Jameson with a pickleback. Matt won, so Matt got to pick it, and John helped.
No, it's okay. I would've-
There's
yeah.
seeds in your
Gross.
pickleback.
There's
You gotta
seeds
finish
in
it.
it.
That's the other thing. You don't
looks
get
so
paid if you
gross.
don't finish it.
No, I
Pickle part's
understand.
gross.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Here's to me, America.
Don't get your slipping now.
Is it chunky? Is it chunky? Can you feel it going down?
The second part was so much worse than Jameson.
I'm glad you don't like pickles too. This is like Christmas.
It doesn't even help like the burn of the JMO. It doesn't.
No, I just take the burn rather than it. Feels like I drank slime.
I would too.
Ugh.
Oh, it looks so gross.
I can't wait for like 3 hours from now for you to just like lick your lips and there's gonna be pickle.
I'm already doing it.
You're gonna be so
rest of the
angry.
day.
Just so angry.
We've got a show later. He's gonna be like, "God, it still tastes pickles."
I take
Like,
It would
pickles.
still taste better than old lady's vagina.
Yeah, that's true. This is true. Silver linings, ladies and gentlemen.
just like
okay,
your
well,
vagina.
thanks guys for being here. That's all for
thank
this
you.
episode
Oh,
of
this
Road
is fun,
Lunch.
guys. Thanks for having us. This is
My name's Andy Fisher. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Goonies and the Crooked Pint, and especially thank you to our guests, comedians Matt Bergman and John Egan. Thanks, guys. Can't thank you enough for being here. Having lunch on the road.
All right, you guys can find me at Twitter and Instagram, Bergman Comedy, Bergman Comedy. It's mostly pictures of my dog on Instagram. It's a baby bulldog. You want to see that. And then Twitter is just me being angry from time to time. And then I'm on Facebook too. Ugh, who cares? So check me out there.
Hello, I'm John Egan. You can Google John Egan Comedy. Don't just do John Egan because it's a bunch of like YouTube videos of guys in Kentucky playing guitar. That's a real thing. So John Egan Comedy. I'm Egan J on Twitter. Also, if you want to look out for it, there's a show called Comedic Neutral that I run. It's Dungeons and Dragons with a real dungeon master who's really intense, and then me and other comedians who are terrible at it. It's very fun. But otherwise, I do food reviews and clips and other terrible things. Also, I have a Facebook page if you want to like it called You Can Still Eat Pizza, where I do recipes and funny things because I used to be a big fatty, and I still am because there's so much fat here still. All right, but besides that, just look for me and like my stuff. Thank you.
Can I do one more plug? My
Yeah,
phone is so
go
bad at
right
me.
ahead.
Can I just do mine over again?
Yeah, sure.
John, if you want to stay pointed toward the camera though, just for because you guys are on a two-shot.
I know.
So-
Would you turn around,
I'm just being
please?
silly. Okay, sorry.
God damn, I forgot about this. My friend will be so mad at me. I'll start over again. You guys can find me at Bergman Comedy, Bergman Comedy on both Instagram and Twitter. Instagram's better because I have a new baby bulldog, so I just post pictures of her all the time. And I also have a podcast called Industry Darlings with Josh Potter, who's touring with Tom Segura right now. Once a week, it drops on Mondays on iTunes and every other podcast network.